Hello everyone. Welcome to Other Levels. Today you will learn how to create a dashboard for schools with dynamically changing student photos using Microsoft Excel without VBA codes. So let's start. Welcome to Other Levels. These are the color codes and font types used in the design. You can get all our templates fully customizable by visiting the website other-levels.com. This Excel workbook containing 4 main parts. First, a sheet for the database. The second sheet that contains all the pivot tables that are connected to the dashboard's values and charts. Third, a sheet that contains everything we need to implement a dynamic image change. Finally, the rest of the dashboards, and we will only implement 3 of them: main dashboard, events, and teachers. Let's start creating the main dashboard. For the dashboard, we don't want the grid line and heading. This design contains 2 backgrounds, and we will implement the first background. Insert a rectangular shape. Colors and dimensions are always shown in all our videos. Select all cells and change the color to light purple. For the second background, first, we need to insert a round same-side corner rectangle shape. Press Ctrl+C, then drag the shape to the right. Now we will create the design of the buttons for the side menu. In order to create it, we will use PowerPoint to use the Fragment tool. Insert the plaque shape next to the round same-side corner rectangle. Then cover half of the plaque shape using a rectangle. Now we will use the Fragment tool to divide the shape. Group them together. Great! Insert text boxes contain the dashboard's titles. And your school logo on top. For all values and charts we want to have a white background so it is easy to read. First, we will insert a rectangle for the main title of the dashboard. And for the main values, we need 2 rectangles that are rounded at the same side angles. Copy the shape with Ctrl+C, then drag to the right. Next, insert white equidistant rounded rectangles for all values and charts. Insert a text box for the title. Then insert icons from the Excel icon library. Now we will put all the titles for each part. Check our colors codes, and the font size and thickness. It's time to insert pivot tables. Choose Database. Then click Insert Pivot Table. Choose to place the pivot table on the existing worksheet that will be the pivot table sheet. To learn more about pivot tables, please watch the playlist shown above. We do not want to repeat the previous steps to insert the pivot table. You can just select the whole pivot table, then copy it, and paste it into another place. Select the values you want. We want the sum of parents, teachers and students. To connect the text box with its correct value in the pivot table, type in the formula bar =, then select the correct cell in the pivot table sheet. The background needs a picture that adds more beauty. So include the picture you prefer from the Excel library or a real picture of your school. Send it to the background of the menu on the left. And then we will make the menu colors gradient so the color at the top will have a 100% of transparency. And on the bottom of the image it has a 16% transparency. Then crop the image, but use the rounded rectangle shape to cut so that the edges of the image are matching with the edges of the menu. Now we will insert a column chart that shows the number of students at each educational level. Delete all chart elements and keep only the vertical ox. To change the shape of the columns, we will insert a 3D box shape, and specify a color for each educational stage. All you have to do is copy the shape and then choose the column, then paste it. The beginning of the columns from the bottom does not look nice, so we will cover them using a white rectangle. We will show the value and education stage name of each column in the chart, but to the left side, as green is the primary school, yellow for the elementary school, and violet will be the preschool. The total student number will show below each education stage name. Excellent, we are done here. We will move to the part of the activity and events. We will start by creating a View All button, as we will add a hyperlink to it later to moving us to the events dashboard when clicking on it. We will create a pivot table containing only the names of events and activities. We only need to show a max of 4 events, because we want to show only a sample part of all events, not all. Therefore, we will connect the text boxes to cells and not directly to the pivot table to avoid errors. To ensure spaces between text boxes, use the Distribute Vertically feature. Separate them using horizontal lines, then also use the Distribute Vertically feature. As we explained earlier that the View All button will move us to the events report, so now we will start copying the current layout design in this sheet to another. Right-click and then choose Move or Copy, check on Create a Copy. Change the name of the new Sheet tab. Now we will delete every part we don't need and keep only the parts we need. As you can see, I am now merging the white rectangles together, instead of inserting one large rectangle. To make sure 100% that the edges and dimensions of the background are uniform with the main dashboard. Drag it down and change the font color. We will add a hyperlink to the dashboard so that it directs us to the main dashboard when we click on it. With the change of important point, type A1 type in the cell reference field, to ensure that the report is shown when moving to it in a correct and fully clear position. Insert the report into text boxes according to the size of your data. With that, we have finished this report. Now we will add the teacher's sheet, and it is better to make a copy of the event. To start adding pictures for teachers, we will use any pictures from the Excel picture library to learn you how to modify images and appear them creatively. Crop the face as much as possible, and insert a circular shape as a background for the image. If your images have a background, so please remove it using the background removal feature in Excel. And to learn more about background removal, please check the video above. Then insert a donut shape to cover the circle and image borders. Make the teachers' names in bold font and the job title in thin. And then add the data you want to show to each teacher. Now we will move on to the slicer and timeline. Select any pivot table, then insert a timeline. Choose a preferred design for you. And you can learn how to modify the timeline and pivot table by watching the video above. Choose the months filter, then hide all timeline options. We do not want to show the year, so we will cover it with a white rectangle. For your information, the version available for sale on our website has been replaced the day's slicer with a year's slicer. From Slicer Settings, choose Hide Items with no data. Then hide the slider header. Now it's time to create formulas that allow us to change the students' pictures according to choose the month and year from the slicers. Preferred to create a separate sheet to implement, and let's call it Dynamic Images. We will enlarge the students' pictures to appear them in high quality in the dashboard. And to be able to control these large images, we have to zoom out the page by 60%. Then we need to create a table with 3 important columns. Let's take a look for something first. You can see in the database that we replace the spaces in the names of the students with the underscore sign. We will explain why shortly. First, the names of the students in the current names form in a database table that contains an underscore sign. Secondly, a column for the names of the same students in column A but without the underscore sign. Because it's not a professional to appear the names with underscore on the dashboard. A third column for the students' pictures. Insert the photos, then crop it using the rounded rectangular shape. Now insert a white circular as a background for the photo. Then we will create a photo frame using a donut shape. Select all and align to the middle and center. Set a dark gray color to the frame. Repeat the previous steps for all remaining images. Now press right-click and save as image, then reinsert the photo. While making sure that all images are inside the center of the cell. Next, copy the student's name and put it as the name of the cell containing his picture. In the cell name field at the top left of the screen, as you see that the current cell name is C2. Paste the student name, then press the Enter. That's why we add underscore sign, because you can't type texts that contain spaces in cell names. Change the names of all cells. Now we are preparing the place where the names and photos of the top students will be displayed on the dashboard. Make the small rounded rectangle a lighter color than the big one. Next, we need to create a table that will show the final correct results for the top 3 students. Let's go back to the pivot table sheet and start. First, we need a pivot table that's showing the year that have been selected from the slicer and another showing the month. Then we create a table containing the student's rank column from the first to the third place. The second column contains an equation that combines the choices from the 2 slicers and the current ranking in rank column. And the formula is concatenate. Select the month, then the rank, and the year. Close the bracket and press Enter. I will explain to you what this step means. If we look at the database, we will find on the part related to the top students. It contains the student rank, then the student finder, then his name, then his percentage. Now every month of the year, we have 3 students get first places. From January, February, March, and so on. And to find the names of the students by choosing the year and month of the slicers. We combine the month and rank and year. So we have a name that is the same as a code, that cannot be repeated in the student finder column. Therefore, in the last column here to find the student's name, we will use the VLOOKUP formula with the code name to find it. To make sure the names are correct, let's review this example. April 2021 has been chosen from the slicers. The apparent name is Rovan in the first place, then Ronnie in second place, and finally Adam in third place. So the idea is 100% successful. Now we will link the cells in the names column to the correct cells in the pivot table sheet. In this column, we will convert the student's name to the correct form to show it on the dashboard. Regard to the student percentage, we will use the VLOOKUP formula with the code name in the database to find the correct percentage. Now copy the image and put it on the dashboard. This picture will be for the student who in the first place. Open the Name Manager menu by pressing Ctrl and F1. Add a name for the data range, for example name it first. Then in refers to field write this formula. INDIRECT. Then select the cell that contains the student's name in the first place. Select the student photo and the type in the formula bar equals first. And press Enter. Now the image working dynamically depend on your slicer selection. Do the same previous steps for the second and third places. Link each text box to the correct cell. Names and percentages. Hide sheet tabs. Now we will protect the dashboard. Press Ctrl+A to select all the objects and shapes. Then press Ctrl+1 to open the Shape Options menu. Select Lock. Except for the slicers, must be unlocked. Go to Protect the sheet. Uncheck all options except. Select Unlock cells and use Pivot Table Report. Then set the password. Do the same steps as above for all sheets. I hope you learned something useful in your work. Thank you for watching. See you in another design from other levels.